asking price for this boat was $30,000, which is way above my budget. However, the advertisement said need to sell it within a month, and when there's a time constraint, you know, prices can drop drastically. 4 years ago I crossed the Pacific Ocean as a crew member on different sailing boats, going from Panama to the Marquesas Islands, French Polynesia, Tonga, Fiji and eventually New Zealand. I knew nothing about sailing before. Now it is time to continue on my own boat. I am so scared of buying a boat. It's like, I don't know, have you ever been in the process of buying a boat? Like, I'm like super scared and like excited at the same time. It's like, you know, when I buy a boat, it's like suddenly that's the boat and that's like my problem, whatever it has, and can I make it financially work or not, and where will that future go? And have you experienced that? So let's look at the inside. It's the kitchen area where we come in. Seen already, it's quite a spacious living room, I would say, and it's got a little wood stove that I would probably not be using. This is the V-berth. And this is the bathroom. So this is where you can make the third bedroom for one person. You can make this flat. One thing I absolutely love is how easy this here turns into a bed. Look, you just put it out. You know, you've got a bed. You don't have to use a table or something. It's like a 2-minute job. 2 minutes, 1 minute. So I slept here last night, and technically the space here is long enough for my 6'1" length. But the problem is with your feet, you don't sleep like this. Your feet are like sticking out to the front. And for that it is just too short. So when I'm lying with my head against the board, which you don't do when you sleep, because you always lie, there's always a little bit of your pillow behind your head, but even when I would lie all the way back, then still my toes will be touching the wooden board, and yeah, it's just not ideal for my length to sleep. I guess I could sleep in an angle, but then, you know, when you sleep with two people and I want to sleep straight, should have been a little bit longer to sleep comfortably. So it's the same in the V-berth. Now my feet are touching the back, and if I would lie, then my head would actually be sticking out of the mattress. But I guess I could make something over here, but making something longer to give it a little bit more space. I mean, I'm 6'1", which is pretty tall, but I'm not like extremely tall or something. Also, the table is so easy to take out. That is option 1. So if you wanted to, you can sleep 2 people here, 1 over here, 2 over here when you make it a double bed, and then you can actually make this a bed too. So that's 7 people. So what this 37-foot Alberg has, and what the 30-foot Alberg does not have, is this space here. The space where you can sit, where you can also make an extra bed from. And now for me, the extra bed is not really that much of an advantage, but I do really like this space. And obviously it's not necessary, especially when you're planning to do it with 2 people, because you can sit over there at the table and sit on the computer too. But this like wall just gives you some boundary between you and the other person, which gives you some more privacy space when it's like raining all day outside and I would be sitting here on my computer and the person I'd be sailing with is sitting over there. Just sometimes it's nice to have, you know, a little bit, somewhat of a private space. The thing with these types of boats is just that it's all about how the previous owners have maintained them, and if they're in a good condition, it's just a really seaworthy, strong boat that you can buy for a really good price these days. And one of the reasons I was really interested in this specific boat, like honestly I think 37 foot is actually a little bit too big. This can sleep 7 people, and I'm not planning to do it with more than 2. But there are a lot of things which I do really like about this boat. It'll be a little bit faster than a 30 foot or 32 foot. Obviously it'll have a bit more maintenance. This boat has a lot of cruising gear. It has a wind vane, it has I mean an autopilot. Most boats have autopilot, but it has a electric windlass. It only goes down, it doesn't go up, so it does have an issue. It needs to be checked up, but it does have an electric windlass. It has a radar. It has one of those things that you drop in the water when you capsize, and then hopefully somebody comes and save you. And it also has a life raft. Life raft needs to be checked, but most life rafts on boats are not up to date and need to be checked. This is the Alberg 37 Mark II. As far as I know, these ones all have a Volvo Panda engine. It looks like you can get to the things pretty decently, as far as that is possible at boat engines. There's some rust here and there, but in general I'd say it looks in a pretty well maintained condition. I sadly have a lot of experience with diesel engines because my crappy van kept breaking down. It's difficult to see on the outside if it's like still a good engine. Like, I mean, unless it looks like really bad, but you know, people can just have spray painted it. It looks, yeah, for the outside it looks pretty decent, I would say. So one of the things I really like about this boat is like the headroom. It's like, the headroom is nice and tall. To me it's like, I don't really understand how the headroom is really nice and tall, but then all the beds are actually like this bit too small for me. But the headroom is really tall. That's really a big plus. So when they built these older boats, they used a lot of this really dark, beautiful wood. It just makes the space look a lot smaller, and I'd just be very interested if it's possible to varnish that with like a lot lighter wood color. I think the cabinet space is quite decent. Yeah, there's a lot of things on this boat what I do really like. I do still think it's quite big, and I'm actually afraid of just buying a boat that's too big, and then my biggest fear is to get stuck and not being able to afford to continue, because I'm basically spending all my money, all the money I have, to buy a boat. And technically I would never ever advise anybody to do that. However, I do make a bit of income from my YouTube channel and from my patrons, which I'm very grateful for. Thank you so much. And I have a feeling that if this keeps going like this, if it doesn't get worse, that I can somewhat afford the really budget cruising style. I, however, cannot afford massive breakdowns. And obviously, like when a 37 foot breaks down, it's much more expensive to repair, whether it's the engine or the rigging or whatever than, for example, a 30 foot. So it's got quite a lot of deck space to walk, which I like, which is, you know, because it's 37 feet. One of the things I don't really like here is that this is actually too low. So when I'm standing behind the helm, behind the steering wheel, like this is actually all the time touching my head, making me want to kneel down. But if it's like a little bit higher, it would be high enough. So I think if you make some strong arch under here that pushes this a little bit up, it would be just high enough. One thing for sure, I forgot many things since 3 years ago. I need to practice a little bit again. So what would you rather do? If you could buy either this 37 feet that would give you a faster speed and a bit more space, however you'd have to go occasionally back to work to spend another $5,000 just in getting it ready to cross the Pacific, or would you rather just take a little bit of a smaller boat and then have it more ready to go? What are the odds that you're staying on a boat in the marina and Delos is parked 2 boats next to you? They arrived yesterday. Damn, I hope we can do some kind of collaboration or something. A big thanks to my patrons who make it possible for me to keep making these videos. If you'd like to become a patron too, check out the link.